Jumping into those websites gave me the opportunity to stand out because nobody else from my university was applying in those specific areas.
I'm very interested in how you got your first job out of this program, what that process was like.
Sure. So I was lucky enough to jump directly into a FANG company in Silicon Valley, pretty fresh out of my degree. I was before that working with a, like I said, natural language processing startup. It was around 100 so people. They wanted to consider that themselves still a startup in Chicago. From there, I worked in a hedge fund. So that was my opportunity to be basically 1 out of 4 data people. That was interesting because suddenly we were the only 4 people with the domain expertise in that field. And the way that I was able to get that position was just a copious amount of research on how to turn on the fire hose of the application process. In Chicago, I realized it's a very different process than Silicon Valley, but back then I couldn't really rely on my student portal. So that's my advice to students is that if you have Handshake, if you have your school's very own career portal, that's going to be a lot harder. Students have a very hard time differentiating themselves. I had a really hard time differentiating myself. What I was able to do was get on the LinkedIn grind, the Glassdoor grind, AngelList grind. And jumping into those websites gave me the opportunity to stand out because nobody else from my university was applying in those specific areas. And maybe from tens of thousands of people, you're going down to a dozen people. So that got me seen a lot easier because suddenly you're working with adults and people from very different disciplines and different schools. If you think you're going to a great school, and all of you are going to great schools in their own respect, but if you have that competitive edge, then go outside of your very close centroid of peers.
That's awesome. I think that that's a very different way to look at it than I personally thought about it before. It's that you should go to where you have the most notoriety, the most recognition, where you stand out the most. And I think that that's, it can be going against the grain. But for example, if I were to apply on LinkedIn, I would have a huge advantage because I have a pretty big LinkedIn following. If someone else were to apply via LinkedIn, they might have no advantage at all. And it might be the opposite, where if you're a real standout at your university, like you're the best student in whatever department, you applying through the university portal, you'll stand out because you're so much better compared to everyone else. So to me, I find that very fascinating where it's like, hey, find the job opportunities or the platform or the portal or whatever it is that gives you the most advantage, that allows you to differentiate yourself. If you're on Kaggle, right? If you have a really strong profile, if you have a lot of background, if you've done really good projects and you stand out there ready, go to the job board there. I don't think people realize that there's a job board, but you should work to your strengths all the time. And our strengths are very different in very different areas, right? Me going on Glassdoor would probably be a waste of time because one thing that really helps me out now is a personal brand, is some like outside recognition. Me not leveraging that would be pretty foolish if I was 100% trying to land a job these days. So I love that angle. Again, that's not something I've had initial experience with.